Hey pals, so this is a kind of reading vlog, I guess. I ended up kind of binge reading most of this book, so I didn't get a lot of clips of me talking about it. But this is the reading vlog for my dog, for The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Deaver. I read it sounds like beaver, but with a D. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings on this one, really. There were a lot of things I wasn't expecting, basically, to just sum it up in general. But yeah, because, I don't know, I know this book obviously was about grief and, you know, about the loss of a close family member and those kinds of things. So it is a very different kind of feeling when I finished the book. There were a lot of things I liked about generally the plot, things that happen in the book. My brain just doesn't seem to want to work right now, so I'm sorry that I'm just kind of talking a load of shit. Kind of the two main themes of this book really are about family and friendships, because like I've read a lot of YA in my time, and a lot of them do focus a lot on romance more than anything else, sometimes friendships, and very rarely family. Yeah, I really appreciated the things that were approached about friendships in The Ghost We Keep, because our main character, Liam, is non-binary, uses they, he pronouns. They have two friends, just two, which is fine, just two, but they are dating each other. I'm not gonna lie, they suck. They suck. Like, from literally page 1 or wherever it is that they're first mentioned, they suck. And that's like a huge part of this. Like, sure, Liam is not, you know, the most likable character throughout a lot of this book, but also they are going through a very intense grieving process, which is what, you know, even those moments where I was like, Liam, you're an asshole too, or like, Liam, you're being a dickhead. Even in those moments I could kind of compartmentalize isn't the right word, but you know, see it in like see it in context. That's mental illness, you know. Like, I have no idea what it's like to lose a sibling. I don't have siblings, but I have lost a few very dear family members, and I understand that kind of grief of family and death. And you know, like, a few of my close family members have died like over fucking 10 years ago, and I can still think about them and start crying now. So, you know, like, I understand familial grief. And like, even though Liam was maybe not entirely rational throughout the whole book, you know, that it makes sense. But like, Liam's friends did not give a fuck. They saw Liam as an absolute fucking downer. Also, just kind of left them out of the equation a lot of the time. And so many things that I've personally experienced and been through so many times over, of like, you know, they clearly don't really want to make plans with you, but they make plans with you because they haven't seen you in a while, so it's like they feel like they're obligated to make plans with you. Then the day comes of the plans and they forget. You know, there was a lot of that, and oh my god, I was so angry. Liam's friends are the worst. So this is when Liam's brother, Ethan, his best friend who's still alive, kind of comes into the equation a bit more. Marcus is kind of the only person that Liam can talk to about Ethan. Kind of. Or at least talk about how life is just shitty when they have nobody else around. Who knew we would have a poetry nerd on our hands, but there we go. And I love Marcus because I love him. These are the kinds of boys I fall in love with. End of story. Just chipping in to say that I'm also gay for Marcus, alright? If you're not gay for Marcus, I don't know you. I'm gay for Marcus. If we have learned anything from the internet and me being on it, is that my type is myself. And Marcus is deeply displaying many of my own traits, except from being athletic and good at sports and being on a team. But besides that, me, I'm gay for Marcus. End of the story. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. And like there are some there are some bits where Liam does some things that you're like, okay, that's not to do with grief, you are just being a dick. Especially when it involves Marcus, and I feel so bad for Marcus. His best friend TM died after they had an argument. It's very sad, you know, and he is trying to be nice to his best friend's younger sibling, and they just like do some shit that really crosses some boundaries and basically ruins any possibility of them really being friends, which that really upset me. I wanted them to be like friends after this, but no. Taking somebody else's words for your creation without asking permission and posting it is not chill. So that's kind of like one of the things I was just like, oh, I wish this ended better, but it ended realistically, so I do appreciate that, because if someone did the things that Liam did to me, I also would not want to be their friend. Then the other side of things is like the familial relationships and issues. Again, a lot of these things I personally don't understand or relate to, because I am a only child, and I'm thankful I'm an only child, especially after reading this book where it seems like Ethan was the golden child and got everything he wanted, blah 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 and whatever, but also it seemed like those were just added pressures on Ethan, which is what you kind of discover as the book goes on, is that actually maybe Ethan wasn't so happy. But when it comes to the parents, they are quite big roles in this book, which is pretty rare when it comes to YA, because everyone's an orphan or goes to boarding school, or I don't know, their parents are just magically not around. So I thought it was nice to have more of a feature for the parents. Liam has a very different relationship with each parent, but things change because of the grief. Liam changes because of the grief. Liam's parents change because of the grief. And like there are parts of it where you're like, why the fuck are you doing that? Why have you said that? But again, you can kind of be like, okay, me too. Same when I was mourning and feeling like the world was over, including like things the parents do. But they are trying their best, and I really feel like the parents are like pretty high key, like good parents. You don't read about parents like this very often, and you also just don't meet any. There are some like pretty sad moments where Liam is misgendered a few times by their parents. Liam says some nasty things and starts becoming more like angry and rebellious. And this was something that I really, really liked. So Liam is at their friend's house, just had like a pretty awful blowout, gonna have a panic attack, tries ringing the dad who, doesn't pick up, makes Liam spin out more, thinking their dad's died in an accident. Oh, Jesus fucking hell. In an accident. Then ends up calling their mum instead by accident, not realising. And even though Liam and their mum like recently had a pretty awful argument as well, just between the two of them. She heard her child was in distress and immediately came pick them up. You know, I felt like that was such a small moment, but really significant to me, because that's something that my mental illness, God, that's something I've personally experienced with my mum, that she's always said, no matter what, whether we've had an argument or, you know, if I'm in trouble, I can always call her. If I need picking up, no matter what time of the day or night it is, I can always call her and she'll come get me. And like it's still a thing today, and I just feel like there aren't enough parents IRL, but also in literature, who kind of do that. So even though Liam and their mum maybe aren't like super close, like Liam's a bit closer with their dad, their mum would still be there in a heartbeat if she needed to be there, you know. And that, you know, that's something I just really appreciated. They all organise grief counselling as well as a family, which I think it's especially important when it comes to like a young family member who's, you know, maybe a child or a sibling of someone. Because, like, you know, it's one thing your grandparents dying, even if it's unexpected, versus how old is he? 17? A 17-year-old or 18-year-old or something. I enjoyed the emphasis on dealing with toxic friends and dealing with grief within a family. I think those are topics not often approached, or if they are approached, not very well, or in a very like cis heteronormative kind of sense. There was a decision at the end that I kind of personally didn't understand or agree with, but again, I'm not going to say it because it's a pretty massive spoiler, to be honest. And I don't know, there were definitely some parts of when it came to the ending of the book that it was kind of like telling you what happened down the line to different characters. So like you find out what happens to Marcus with the last time you see him in the book. It has like a little summary of what he goes off to do. You find out what happens with Liam and their friendships. You then also find out what happens to Liam in general, like down the line. I don't know how much that did for me. In some ways I liked it, because it is kind of like oh okay, cool, these people, you know, continued on with their life. I mean, I guess that's kind of the point of the entire book, is that, you know, even though when someone dies and it feels like the world should stop or the world has stopped, it doesn't. And it carries on. I cried a lot. I cried quite a bit. So it made me feel the feels. You know, can't fault that. I definitely felt sad. I remembered grief. I felt empathetic for the grief that these other characters were going through. Other characters? Am I a character? Understood what these, you know, I empathised with these characters, what they were going through. Liam's brother Ethan didn't get a chance to do a lot of these things, or, you know, introduce his family to his partner or girlfriend or whatever, like their other half of some kind. You know, and that's the whole point of the story, is that you don't know somebody's life. You don't know every different version of themselves that someone lives as, but because it's all like secondhand, finding out through notes, letters, accidental confessions kinds of things, and you put it all together slowly, or at least the main character does, I immediately was like, this is suspicious. This is suspicious. Ethan, you are suspicious. So in a lot of ways, that like not seeing that whole romantic relationship start, blossom and bloom adds to the tragedy of the book, because he never got to share any of it with, you know, his family and his friends. He never got to share this whole part of himself. And like, just that alone is very sad. So even though, you know, it's not the point, the romance isn't the point of the book, the fact that it was hidden, or the fact that it was not yet public knowledge to everybody, adds to how sad that is. From my personal point of view, imagining a life where I never got to, you know, tell my mum or my friends that I'm queer and that I'm non-binary and that, you know, I prefer to go by arty and I prefer, you know, they them pronouns, or those are my only pronouns unless you're my mother. You know, like that thought, because it was a very real possibility as well for me. There were many times where trigger warning, suicide, self-harm, I don't know, stuff like that. There were a few times in my teenage years where I did try to kill myself, and I wasn't out to my mum. I was out to a few of my friends as bi, but that was long before I figured out that, you know, gender is weird. Imagining never having been able to live as my actual self, or, you know, never being able to introduce my queer partners to my mum, or, you know, things like that, that's very sad to me. It's a very, very sad story to read. I don't know whether I would necessarily say it ended hopefully, because to me, like my little spiel I just said about never being your true self to the people that you love and care about, and that's sad and is a permanent thing. I think it was very well done, very well approached. I don't know if any of this made any sense. I don't know. There's such a muddle of feelings for this book that it's hard to untangle all of them. But don't forget, you can buy the book. It's out. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more book content, gay, queer shit, you know. What up? I'm gonna burp. Pardon me. And leave a comment down below. What? I don't know. Tell me you're sad, because I'm sad. I'm so sad. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next week. Bye.